Hi, I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're working on this wonderful big pumpkin. The pumpkin wires were all the rage this year and they were a lot of fun to do. They came in a green color, so the first thing I did is I went in Walmart and I bought the cheapest I could find, the orange. This is gloss. You could do different if you want to, but I thought it matched the best, and this is through Rust-Oleum, so it's kind of the least expensive. You've also got Krylon that you could use there as well. But I spray painted the whole thing except for the stem, and we just put some painter's tape up here on the stem, and we're going to pull that off, and now you can see what color the rest of the pumpkin was. And I'll probably just leave this if I can't get it off right away and continue. I did try paint. I tried multi-surface paint and it didn't stick as well, and I had to go back and repaint a lot of it, and as you can see I've still got areas that are showing, so I kind of didn't thought the spray paint would work much better, so that's what we're using now. And we're going to talk about if you want to make it loose or if you want to make it tight. We're going to use two things of mesh, again a Dollar Tree item, but you probably could do it with one if you wanted to do it really loose. So we're going to kind of start with one and show you how that would look. Now the first thing we're going to do is wrap it around this inside wire, and we've got to tie it on. Don't use your hot glue. It doesn't look real good in the long run, and it looks kind of messy and it shows up, so try to keep your hot glue off just the mesh part. So we're going to make this about 1.5 inches underneath there, and we're going to use a Chanel stem, and I'm using just ones I had from Halloween, but you could use one that is just orange. It doesn't have to be glittery or anything fancy. I think I'm going to cut this in half again. So, and then we're just going to simply tie this on down here. Just nice and tight so that it doesn't slip around. And if you want to tuck the ends in, or if you want to wrap them around, or if you want to just cut off, you can do whatever you want to do with that. Okay, so now we're going to do each time we do, we're going to kind of do it different. So we're going to do over, under, over, under, over. Get things out of the way here. And under. Now see, we've kind of got that wide here. So depending on how much you want to squish it down, we can do that. So, but we want this first one down here pretty tight because the bottom is smaller in this area than it is up here. So now we've got here. So we're going to go over, under, and you should be doing the opposite of what you were doing before. Over, under, over, under, over, and then under that one. And now you can kind of start to see if we need to pull it tighter in areas. Now I did have some issues with these, and later on I just kind of tucked them in. So don't worry about that too much. If that's kind of popping out there, we'll get to that part and talk about that. Now we'll pull that. Now when we're bringing this down also, and we still need to get this worked through, you can bring it down and pin it with our clips here. These are great little clips. We have these at miriamjoy.com. You can pick them up there. I've used them with all kinds of craft things, including baskets. So now we're going to do over this one, again, the opposite of what you did. And we're just going to keep going back and forth here. Just back and forth. Now you can see this guy, he's got extra slack there, and that's okay. Okay, so we'll kind of get that guy pulled out a little bit there. And we'll probably have to take up the slack over here when we're coming around the corner again. And we're going to remove our clips. And what you want, how you make them clip is you got to make sure that you make your top clip go to your second piece. If you just do it on the top, it's not going to stay. So we need to make sure if you do it up here, there's nothing to hang on to. So it's got to go down to this one below it. And again, so I'm just going to do this a couple more times, and then we'll stop and look at it and decide if we want to make it thicker or not. So I want to show you one that is kind of looser, and I would still even kind of do this a little bit tighter here, and we've still got a couple of rows to do up on the top. But you can see I don't like this as much as I like it really full, so you can't really see through it as well, especially if you put that up against a wall, or if you really wanted the color not to show, you could put a piece of cardboard, orange cardboard or something like that behind it. So I'm going to continue working, and I'm going to end up using 2 of these. So now I'm going to move these down, and we're going to try and keep these ends tucked in as much as possible. And how we talked about using our clips to help us keep them in place. You don't want them to fold up and over on each other. You want to keep them filled out. So we've got these coming down nicer now. I'm even going to take them a little bit more. Now, like this guy has way too much room over here, so we're going to bring him around and pull him tighter. And try and keep those sides nice and tight so that you don't get this bulge here like that. We could even bring him out, and we're going to fluff those up when we get it all done. So don't worry about that if it is not too fluffy, or if you don't like quite the way it is. But like I said, try to keep it from folding over on itself. So we're just going to bring this down some more. So it depends on how much mesh you have too, or how much you want to use on that. And we're going to keep on working here. And I've got this row coming down. We're going to talk pretty soon about running out of room to put our roll of mesh through. Okay, so once it starts getting taller and taller, you won't be able to get the mesh as through there as easy because you're starting to lose the space right here. So what I do when we get to that point is I just pull it down further and then try to get this really nice and tight, and I'll show you when we get there. But that's how you keep that area open so you can continue to do the roll through. And just bring this next row down. And I'm going to continue this for a little bit here. We can fast forward it so you can see it. And then I'm going to stop when we end this one and add the next row to it. So we finished this roll, and it ended up on the sides, which was really nice because we can tuck this in and go on to our next one, which is really nice. If it happened to be up here, you may want to consider cutting that area off and doing it on the side where we can get into the next, or can put it on with a pipe cleaner easier where it doesn't show. So on our first roll, you want to think about, we've done half of it. You want to do half of our pumpkin. So this should be about halfway. And just make sure that you're checking these because it's easy to do 2 instead of 1 or things like that. So make sure you're kind of looking as it goes. So we're going to put this orange piece on. And let's see if we can bring it around this edge. And I want to be able to tie it off at the same time that I'm tying the other one on. On my last one, I tried using my glue gun to do it, and it did not look that well. So I'm trying to do this by just tying it. So I'm going to tuck this piece under and put this piece over the top of it. So we've got that other one tucked up inside, and we're going to put our stem, not our stem, but our chenille thing, tying that together. So we tied one off and we started one, and I'm just going to clip up those ends. I left that one a little bit longer so I'd have it a little bit easier time tying it. And so when we get down in here, we'll just kind of cover that up with that area as much as we want to. And then we're just going to continue going back and forth. And I am going to put this on fast forward, and you can kind of see. And we're going to start moving in the smaller areas. Also on our clips here, we need to clip them down to more layers, not just the second one, to start holding them now, because we're getting kind of built up here. is quite a bit here, and we were talking about if you decided anywhere along here that you have done enough, then you can stop and cut it. Now you can see how this is getting harder and harder. We also talked about if you unrolled this, you got to remember mesh is really sticky, and rolled it without the tubing, if that would be better or not. So we've kind of talked about a couple of different ways. But see how we have to pull this down now to start getting into these holes. And at some point, if you're not getting all the way through them, you can stop going in to this one here and work into just those right there as you get closer to the top. Now I think I like mine just a little bit fuller, because see how these open areas are here still? I want to kind of close that up a little bit more, bring that down just a little bit, and I might have it a little bit tied up at the top. So I'm going to unloosen that just a little bit, pull that down, and continue to work back and forth a little bit more. Okay, so I didn't go into this one now. I'm going to stop there and come back over the top of this one. So we didn't go into this space here. But make sure again that you're keeping this straightened out, not folded over. When we start to get to fluffing, you'll understand why a little bit better as well. Get rid of my clip there. And we should be getting down to a lot less than I may just cut this here, even if I have a little bit after I get to a certain point. But we want to pull our corners in, keep them straight. So I'm going to here, and here is my last one. So I'm not going in that one, I'm going in this one. And up and over the top. And so we've gone in this one, so now we're coming through this side. If you don't know where you're at, think about if this is opposite of what you're doing. And look at, I messed it up here because I'm going over there. So that is not correct. So let's look at this again. Unless I messed it up on the one below. No, we're good. So we need to go over that, and then we need to come up through here, not here. I'm glad I make those mistakes. That's the reason we leave them in. It's because if I do it, chances are somebody else is going to do it. And you can see how I'm using kind of the pointed tip of the roll to bring it in and out. So you're only putting that space in now instead of the whole 6-inch roll. And we're almost to the end here. And the spray paint has worked so much better than the acrylic multi-surface paint did. By this time, I had almost taken the paint off of my pumpkins. So that's a good thing to know, that it works so much better. And we want to make sure that you're not twisting it either. So we're keeping that straight. We're almost to the end here. So we're going to decide if we're going to put another one in this one or not. and or just use the one right there. Let's see what I did on the other one. I think I kept it just maybe, also depends on how much of the mesh you have left. So we are going to not go in this one. We're going to go through this one, and we have to come back through there. So you should be the opposite of what you did last time. And I need to straighten this out, I know. And lay it down nice and neat. The neater you get those edges, the easier it is going to be on you. So we came over here. We've got this guy over here. I'm going to spread out his edge so he covers out a lot of that wire. And make sure we bring this guy down. I'm going to try doing maybe one more here. If not, we're going to call it. I'm going to stick it up through here, and I'm pretty sure this is what I did last time. Just flip it up in there. Get this part all nice and flat as possible there. And we're going to bring it, because we've got this one done here, we're going to bring it up through this stem. Actually, let's not do that, because we've got to put our stem on. That's really easy. There's not much to that. It's just weaving it in and out. Kind of get that to lay down back there. And I'm going to bring it between this and almost kind of like tie it off in a knot if I can get it through that mesh. Sorry, I'm wiggling around, but it's hard to hang on to it. Maybe I should try our bowl, our rubber bowl, to hold it into. Might wiggle less. Okay, so I'm just going to spin a minute straightening this out and tightening this up, and then I'm going to put a little, well, I'm probably not. I'm probably just going to cut it off because you don't want that glue to show through. So now that we've got that in and tucked in, you could just kind of tuck it under if you want to, or just let it sit, trim it off a little bit shorter, but not too short. You also could tie it on with a pipe cleaner or Chanel twist if you got it too short. Now what I kind of did after that is I came in and I kind of fluffed these, and my husband says don't let an OCD person do this. It would probably drive them crazy, and sometimes I'm a little bit that way, so I could spend hours adjusting it and doing it. But what we want to do is kind of fluff these out in the middle here. See, that guy got turned over. So we were kind of just fluffing him. And if we need to kind of move those edges in a little bit to get them tightened up, we can kind of tuck them up under there. But you're just kind of covering up your wire, unfolding anything that may have folded up, moving it down or adjusting it if you need to adjust it, and just kind of doing your own thing. There's no right or wrong. If you like to do it a certain way, do it a certain way. That's how things get designed. Don't ever let a person tell you that you can't do it a certain way. I wouldn't be in business today if it was for that. Not listening to everybody and doing our own thing. So I'm just going to kind of continue working this all the way up here.
like that until I get to the top and kind of like the way I have it. All nice and shaped. I like that shape. And another thing you could do is if you wanted to use it for Halloween, you could put felt cutouts on it and turn it into a jack-o'-lantern, and then it'd be a whole different thing. So another thing we talked about was doing the stem with paper twist, and I have a video on that, and that would be higher and up, and it would be more fancier, I guess you would kind of say. But for today, we're going to do it twisted and rounded, and we're just going to use a Chanel stem here, and we're going to attach it onto the bottom part down here. I was trying to remember how I did this part. Sometimes I have to look. I think I just kind of doubled him up and looped him in between. Because if you don't have a part in the middle, you don't have anything to loop it back and forth, and it would just be around it and it wouldn't stay real great. So we looped that around up at the top. Now we're going to take this down to the bottom, and you could either put both of them through or one of them not through. You could leave the extra for little tentacles. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to just tie this out right down here, the closest I can get to the base. If you wanted to start out with the pumpkin and do this part first, it may be easier to do that way. And we'll take a look and see if we want to move those around or not. And then we're going to start with our twine or your jute or whatever size of this that you want to use. And the first one I'm going to tie on. And I had cut off so much of this and just used what I had and did it that way instead of trying to work off of my getting my whole thing to go back and forth in there. I'm going to cut these off as well. And so all we're going to do is go back and forth, under and over, and weave this all on and try to do it as nice and as tight as we can get it. This really is a simple project. I probably made it look harder than it is. Once you get it going, you'll find out that it really isn't that bad of a project to do. And I am going to have to pull this and think about how long I think that'll be. I don't quite know. We may come up short. We may be longer here. But like I said, the paper twist is a great alternative, and you won't have to be doing any of this. So we're going to go in and out. Then we're going to go over and under. So you're doing opposite every single time, just like we weaved our pumpkin. And see how that part is bigger down there. And we're going to cover this up with leaves too, so don't worry about the bottom part if you don't get it exactly perfect. And I am just going to continue weaving this on up. So now that we've got this up here, we're going to kind of come in and twist around the edge so that it doesn't show the green part. And that'll be nice and clean. And this part down here will cover up with our leaf or whatever foliage we decide. But I want to show you what a twisted top looks like. And this is what a paper twist stem looks like. And see how fun that is? And that's really, really simple to do. It would be a lot faster. You use 2 pieces. We'll put the video link up for you as well. And here's one that I wanted to do that didn't look that way. It was chunky. So you have other options that'd be really fast and simple to do like that. So we're just gonna, and you saw that I cut my string off because I did have a little bit too much. Not bad. You'd rather have more than not enough. And so we're just going to continue this all the way across. The reason we put the pipe cleaner in the middle, he's so big and fat, is so you get this nice weaving. Otherwise it wouldn't be as nice. I'm going to glue this together real quick here. And this is where our rubber fingers come in handy. The rubber fingertips are great. We do sell those. Keeps you from getting burned. How many years have I spent burning myself? I also learned with the glue gun that more than half the time when I was using hot, I could have been using low temp. So that's something to really think about, especially with floral. If it's something that you're going to do a long period of time and you need it to take time to set, then you want the hot. But if you don't, you want the low temp. Okay, so I'm going to jump under here, under this twisty to the other side now. And we're just going to finish going around and around, and you can see how much better that looks. And on the bottom part down here, if you couldn't, my other one I did get farther down. If you couldn't get that farther down, you could twist that also as well if it showed. But we've got all kinds of stuff to put on it. We're also debating lights. If you'd like to put lights in it, we're going to talk about that after we get this part done here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this all the way to the edge, And when I get to the edge, I'm just going to take it to the back and hot glue gun it on to the back. Real simple, real easy. Not going to tie it, not going to worry about it coming off or anything like that. I think I've got 1 or 2 more here. I did these a few years back. I did them on the plastic form pumpkins that Dollar Tree had, and they were very similar to this. And I'm doing a curly mesh one, so make sure that you look for that. So I'm just going to bring him and just put him right on there and not worry about that. The other thing we want to do is we want to tie a place to hang this from. And since we've got this right here, let's go ahead and make a little hanger. And I think I want to use just half of our Chanel stem. They're still pipe cleaners to me. That probably shows my age, but that's okay. So we're going to catch him right there. And I'm just simply, I think I want it where this won't show when you would hang it on the door or on the wall or anything like that. I think I'm going to go down and tie the bottom so it doesn't move around either. And then we'll go back and we'll tie this again up here. But you want it nice and strong so that it doesn't lose our thing. So there we go. We've got our top. Now we're just going to embellish it. I found these great leaves. There were big leaves. I found these at Joann's, and I think they were in a pick or in a thing of leaves, and we want to just kind of tuck it in like that. I'm going to leave this stem on unless he gets too big that I won't want to do him. My glue gun isn't reaching far enough here. Sorry about that. I've got to get him a new. So I want to make sure that this goes through and tucks up in before I push that down so that our stems there, that's why we need those fingertips on, don't show. Okay, now on this one I did put some gold on, and I'm going to go ahead and do that again because I like that magical sparkly shimmer. So I'm just using puffy paint, and we're going to just put it in the creases, just the major creases, not too much, just here and there. And then I'm going to come back with my finger. If you don't want to come back with your finger, you don't have to. You can leave it just like this. I'm just going to spread it out. You can do however you want to do that. And so it just gives it, I like it not so puffy on top, just laying down. That's just my opinion. You do what you're comfortable with. And then I'm going to put a little bit more glitter on it. A girl can never have too much glitter. This is just poly flake gold. It's super, super fine. And I'm just going to kind of put it on. And you could dust it off if you want to. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Just going to kind of let it dry, but see how that really gives it that extra something. So the next thing we're going to do is, if you wanted to put, I used some twines and I made them out of the Chanel twist or the pipe cleaners again. You could do that with green wire, gold wire, whatever you wanted to do if you decided that you wanted it. On this one, I think I'm just going to put some these little berry accents that come in the fall picks. I love these. I use these in so much that it is truly amazing. But I'm always looking for them. They seem to be hard to find, and then you seem to find them all, and it's crazy. Another thing that you could do, if you didn't want to do that, is put a big bow up here, or a small or medium bow. So you have lots of options on how you can decorate him, or how you want to do yours, just to give it that extra special feeling. I'm going to decide if I want a yellow one here or a red one here. Try this red one right here. And I kind of twist mine back and forth so it's not straight, because your vines and stuff aren't going to be straight. If it's sticking up like that, bend it up there. And you could add more if you wanted to. You could do less. Make it yours. So if you were going to do lights, I think you need a little bit bigger string than what I had, or you could even do fairy lights. You could weave them in and out of the thing if you had a long enough piece, or you could do a couple of them. What I thought I would like to do is to tie them on, bring them all on the inside, just around the pumpkin, and you could tie them on with maybe some gold wire that wouldn't show too much, just all the way around like that. So I decided this is too big of an empty area there, so I am going to do some ribbon, and I found some gold, and I really like this. I buy my ribbon when it goes to $1 a roll or 90% off. I never buy it full price or Dollar Tree. I make sure that it does have the wire in it so you can bend it in and out, fluff it up again. Now I just went back and forth. I didn't even tie that. That's how we're going to get a nice bow. And I'm just going to wrap my wire around it and tie it up. And you could either tie it on, or you could hot glue it on. Either way, but that just gives it that extra finishing touch.